The Giants make a decision regarding their 2019 first-round draft picks option years. What did they decide and how does it impact their financial future? We're going to talk about it next on the LockedOn Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. My name's Patricia Traina, and happy draft day, everybody. Here we are. It's Thursday, the 28th, and we're going to be bringing you all kinds of update throughout the night, throughout the weekend, really, here on the Locked On Giants podcast with news about the draft and anything and all things Giants. And on today's update, I do have something to report. A decision has been made, reportedly, by the Giants regarding the fifth-year options of quarterback Daniel Jones and defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence. Now, according to the NFL Network, the Giants are going to decline the option year on Jones's contract, the 6th overall pick in the 2019 draft, but they're going to pick up the option year on Lawrence's contract. He was the 17th overall pick in the 2019 draft. Now, what does this all mean from a financial standpoint? So let me break that down for you. We'll start with Daniel Jones. Jones is, as we know, he has yet to make it through an entire season healthy. He has also not quite reached the levels that everybody thought he might have. Now, again, there is some, it's not all his fault. He hasn't had stability with an offensive line. He hasn't had a consistent system that he can buy into. There's been a lot working against Daniel Jones. That being said, there are some other things that still are working against Daniel Jones that only he can correct. And they include things such as making smarter decisions out there, regardless of the system, and just basically being able to load the team on his shoulders and carry them across the finish line. Something he really hasn't done. And, the Giants were really hoping for them to take that step last year, which would have been the second year in the same offensive system, and it just didn't happen. And then you throw in the injury situation, and, here we are. No surprise that the Giants did not pick up Daniel Jones's option year. All right, Giant fans, still more to come on tonight's Locked On Giants coverage of the NFL Draft, first round of the NFL Draft. But first, BetOnline.net is the only place that offers the best information on the latest odds, contests, and player props for all your sports betting needs. No matter what sport you're into, BetOnline.net has you covered. Plus, they offer everything you need to know for live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head on over to betonline.net to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, what does this mean now from a financial perspective? Well, Jones would have been guaranteed $22.384 million next season had the option year been exercised. And even if he has a banner year this year, that number is guaranteed, which means that if Jones were to get another contract, from the Giants next year, meaning to lower that number, the Giants would have had to ensure that they gave him at least $22.384 million in the first year of that deal. So really no opportunity for cap savings if the Giants wanted to sign him for a long-term deal next year to lower that number. It just wouldn't have worked. So the Giants, in declining it, actually leave themselves with a little financial flexibility to create a structured contract should Jones excel. The structure, I think, is going to be very similar to what Josh Allen got from the Buffalo Bills, where Josh Allen gets guaranteed money in stages. And I can go into that when and if the Giants get to that point with Daniel Jones. All right, now, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't the Giants, what about the franchise tag? What does that have to do with anything, and what's the difference with costs? The franchise tag, according to Over the Cap, is estimated to be $31.497 million for quarterbacks. That's a hefty amount. But here's the thing, folks. If Jones has a great year this year, and everybody is hoping that he will, and if the Giants do have to apply the franchise tag to him, that franchise tag is basically to keep other teams from taking him away from them. It's not a number that I would expect Jones to go into 2023 with if he does indeed get the tag. So again, by not having any guaranteed money for Jones in 2023, if again he's on the roster, the Giants have given themselves a lot more financial flexibility in a year in which their cap situation is expected to be a lot better than what it is this year. And for more on that, by the way, check out giantscountry.com. I have an article that outlines it a little bit more detail if you need to see the numbers visually. All right, Giant fans, we're bringing you all the latest on this first day of the NFL Draft, April 28th, 2022. But first, this Mother's Day, give mom something special that she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off $500, and this podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. Use code LOCKEDON, that's code LOCKEDON at BlueNile.com to get your mom or that special someone something special that they'll cherish forever. Every order from Blue Nile is shipped insured and in discreet packaging so that there's no hint as to what is inside. So don't delay. Go to BlueNile.com. Take advantage of this special offer. Again, that's code Locked On to save $50 off, $500 or more. All right, now let's talk about the decision to pick up Dexter Lawrence's option year. All right, so Dexter Lawrence, that made more sense for several reasons. Number one, even though Dexter Lawrence hasn't developed into the pass rusher the Giants thought they were getting, he's been a solid run stopper. Last year, Dexter Lawrence logged career highs in tackles with 54 and quarterback hits with 11. All right, now, the money, let's talk about the money. Lawrence is guaranteed $10.753 million against the cap next year in the option year. When you compare that to the 2023 numbers, the cap numbers of a B.J. Hill, former Giants defensive lineman who re-upped with the Cincinnati Bengals, and Bills defender Ed Oliver, the money kind of falls right in that range. So B.J. Hill in 2023 is due to count for $10.83 million against the cap. Ed Oliver, $10.753 million against the cap. So basically, Ed Oliver and it looks like Dexter Lawrence's option year, same amount of money. So it's more in line. And it gives the Giants a player who they're really high on, even though, again, he hasn't blossomed into a pass rusher. But more importantly, even, it puts an end to this letting defensive linemen walk out the door after their contracts end. So that's a step in the right direction, certainly. All right, so again, to recap, the Giants declined the option year on Daniel Jones's contract, but they are picking up Dexter Lawrence's contract, option year, I should say, on his contract. Again, for more information, check out Giants Country. I have an article put up there, and also check out Giants Country throughout the night. I'll have updates and draft analysis, as well as I will have stuff here on the Locked On Giants podcast channel. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I'll be back with you later tonight after the Giants make their picks.